Joe Manchin isn't calling for work requirements or means testing for Lockheed Martin before they get their government money. But he's all for restrictions that would push even more of his own constituents into deeper poverty. The Senate Appropriations Committee has signed off on trillions of dollars in new spending over the next decade, including Joe Manchin. He voted for it too. Woohoo! The committee even threw in an additional $200 billion with a B over the next 10 years. $200 billion covers the cost of universal pre-K in the big Build Back Better bill. But here's the bad news. That new money won't be going to America's toddlers. It will be spent instead on bombs and bullets and defense contractors. That's right, it's all part of the annual defense authorization bill, approved by a supposedly divided Congress, which gave bipartisan support to spending more money every year to blow things up. The future projection on this graph shows defense spending rising in the next 10 years, rising from 2025 to 2035, up it goes. You see, Joe Manchin has no problem with that. Joe Manchin isn't calling for work requirements or means testing for Lockheed Martin before they get their government money. But he's all for restrictions that would push even more of his own constituents into deeper poverty. So many people in West Virginia already struggle to get by. It's one of the poorest states in the nation, with an average annual income of less than $45,000 a year. 15% can't afford to go to the doctor when they need to. So it should probably be no surprise that the state is 49th out of 50 in life expectancy. It's in the bottom 5 states for access to clean, safe drinking water, and it's among the bottom 10 states for giving your kid a quality public school education, which explains why people have been leaving the state for decades, seeking to make a better life for themselves somewhere else. So, who exactly, you might ask, is Joe Manchin, pleasure boat captain, representing when he turns down funding that would improve the lives of West Virginians in a very real way? Could it be his own bank account, the $500,000 in dividend checks he still collects every year from a family coal company now run by his son? Because as Manchin single-handedly blocks what is perhaps the most important provision of Biden's climate agenda, his state can no longer hold back the floodwaters brought on by global warming. And this may be last call. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And by here, we mean planet Earth. Quoting from the New York Times, the measure that Mr. Manchin opposes, a clean electricity program, may be the last chance for Congress to reduce planet-warming emissions before the effects of climate change become catastrophic. Wow. Catastrophic. The last chance that we're not taking. Not a normal sentence to be reading on your iPad in the morning. So yes, what's in President Biden's Build Back Better bill affects all of us in the long term. Life on Earth is the ultimate consequence. But in the short term, it affects the people of Joe Biden's West Virginia a lot more than it does, say, Elizabeth Warren's Massachusetts or Bernie Sanders' Vermont. And although poll after poll shows the Build Back Better bill is popular in West Virginia, a few reminders don't hurt. A coalition of progressive groups has unveiled a new ad that started airing in the state. And in an op-ed in the Charleston, West Virginia newspaper, Bernie Sanders reminded readers in that state that Manchin was blocking a Build Back Better bill that includes Medicare expansion and programs that would lift children out of poverty, and free community college, and paid family and medical leave, and affordable housing, and ways to tackle climate change. By last night, as negotiations over the budget bill continued, the two senators seemed eager, maybe, to make nice for the cameras as they headed home at the end of the day.
Get a picture of us, huh? We're talking. All right, we're talking.
You're going to have a resolution by the end of the week, it sounds like?
We're talking. We'll make some progress.
That image right there is symbolic of this crisis in Congress. Manchin heading off in his gas-guzzling truck to his houseboat on the Potomac, and Sanders bending his 6-foot height into a small sedan. Maybe it's a hybrid. That's the defining battle right now in the Democratic Party. The self-styled socialist from Vermont who is pushing a quote-unquote moderate president's economic and environmental agenda versus the Democrat in name only from West Virginia who is trying to block aid for his own desperate constituents and helping the Republican Party and climate change in the process.